Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I wanted to talk with you about mistakes that preppers make. We are spending a lot of effort, time, and money gathering prepping supplies, preparing for an uncertain future. We want to make sure that we're doing the best we can, that we aren't making critical mistakes that could jeopardize our future. First of all, don't compare yourself to others. Some people have been prepping for decades. Some people have a lot of money, so they're able to buy very expensive gizmos, gadgets, and things that you may not be able to afford. But it doesn't matter because you want to look at where you are today and you want to look over what the things that you have and then figure out how you can make the best of the items that you do own, that you have stockpiled, and how you can make it work better for you. Let's talk about food. Make sure that you're buying food that you like, that you care to eat, that you know what to do with it, and that you have a full pantry of foods that you could open and eat or make meals in an instant and then get some of the longest lasting foods. You want to make sure that you have all the three levels of food. The tear open and eat, the little bit of cooking, and then require a lot of cooking and care, but they're the longest lasting foods, the dried foods. So think about some of the just packaged foods that you have. But then there's another mistake. Things like nuts, dried fruit, they're not going to last forever. Granola bars, beef jerky, they're not going to last the longest. You want to have some of these foods on hand, but choose ones that you enjoy and then rotate and replace them. You don't want to go in an emergency and find out all the food that's in, say, your bug out bag or your grab and go pack, that the food is rancid or stale and doesn't taste right anymore. You want to make sure that you always have nutritious, fresh, and tasty foods. So look over some of your grab and go food items and make sure that you are keeping them up to date and rotating them. If you find that you have a stack of them, say in your bug out bag, and it's time to rotate them, go out and have a picnic with them. Have a bug out meal. Everybody can enjoy dinner out of your emergency food. Make it an adventure, and then make sure that once you've used that food, you rotate any that you need to and that you replace it so that you have something going forward. Choose foods you enjoy eating. If you don't want to eat Spam, don't buy it. Buy something that you do enjoy. Then make sure that the foods that you're stockpiling aren't just because they were on somebody's list or they were on sale or they're cheap. You want to load up your pantry with foods that you like to eat, you care to eat, that in an emergency, it's going to be a comfort to you, that you're not going to go and find Spam if you detest it, that maybe you're going to go and find a can of chicken or roast beef, a can of chili, a box of macaroni and cheese. What are the foods that you can prepare that are going to nourish yourself and your family and that you're going to enjoy it? An emergency is not the time to be trying to choke down food you hate. It's not going to keep your morale up. You're not going to feel better. And it's pointless when you could be stockpiling foods that you like. Make sure that you're storing food to last. You want it to be airtight. You want it to be in a cool, dark, dry environment. I have some pasta here that I vacuum sealed with a food saver. You can put it in a jar and seal it up. You can buy Mylar bags and seal food, the longest lasting food, with oxygen absorbers, store them in buckets. But whatever you're doing, make sure that you are putting your food away cool, dark, and dry, as airtight as possible. And if something comes in, say, a cardboard box or just a cellophane wrapper, that needs to be stored more airtight to protect it, not only from pantry bugs, but from getting punctured or things chewing on your boxes. You want your food to last, and the better you store it, the longer it lasts. Next, let's talk about water. Store as much water as possible. That can be difficult because water is very heavy, it takes up a lot of space, and some of us just don't have much room in our home. But it's vitally important that you store as much as possible. Then you need to think about ways to purify any other water that you can get. If your stored water runs out, or the water in your home becomes unsafe to drink, or if there is no more water running into your home, maybe you need to go get a bucket full down at the stream or the creek. Know where the nearest source of water is, and then have a way to purify it. You can get things like life straws. There are all kinds of different kind of water filters. These are just some that I have handy, but you need to look over all the different types of water filters and choose one that's right for you. It may not be practical to just use the type that filter through a straw. Some of them filter through a bottle. Some of them are a big container and it can filter, like say gravity fed, like a Berkey, and it can gravity feed into another container. So look over, they come in all different price points, qualities, they're all different types. So figure out what works best for you. What do you feel comfortable with? Think about some of the easy products that can purify water, things like AquaTab or the P&G that you can take even murky water, you can stir this into it, and then the solid chunks of icky will sink to the bottom, and then you have fresh drinking water at the top. There are all kinds of different chemical little tablets and things that you can get. Look for some, make sure that you have some, and then read and understand how to use them. Perhaps you want to get some eyedroppers and some bleach. Then you can add bleach to water and purify it, but you need to make sure that your bleach is fresh. Bleach needs to be rotated because whatever is the bleachy part of it evaporates. Then you're left with just water. So if you can't smell your bleach when you open it, it probably isn't fresh anymore and you need to replace it. And luckily it's inexpensive, so it's easy to replace bleach. Lights out, it's SHTF right now. When your electricity goes off, that's it. You don't have time to start preparing. You need to already have those supplies on hand. You need some battery operated lanterns. You need some candles with lighters and matches. Perhaps you want to have oil lamps, flashlights, and additional batteries. You can even find some of the solar rechargeable lights and have those on hand. Then think about how are you going to cook something. You need a simple way to cook. You can get something as simple as a butane stove or a camping stove, and then if it's cold weather, you live in a cold climate, you need a way to stay warm. Don't make the mistake. Don't be caught in SHTF if the power goes out. Be prepared with a way to light your home, heat your home, and prepare your food. Don't rely solely on computers for your information. Again, if the power goes out or something happens, your internet stops working, how are you going to remember how to do things? Have some books on prepping. Write things down. Make a journal. Jot down some easy recipes. Write it on a piece of paper. How do I purify water with bleach? Print out some information if you like, and make sure that you make a copy, a list, a written list of your contact information so that you have the phone numbers, the addresses, and how to get a hold of the most important people in your life. How are you going to get a hold of your family? How are you going to tell your boss that you can't come to work? If your cell phone isn't working, you could use another phone, but they're not going to have the instant number on there. You're going to have to rely on yourself. Write that information down so that you still know how to contact your boss, your babysitter, your children's school, your doctor, and your most important family members and your trusted neighbors. Think about your budget. Do you have some cash on hand? Small bills. If you need to buy, say, a bottle of water, you don't want to just have a $20 bill and they won't give you change. Then you are stuck wasting your money. So have a selection of smaller bills so that you can take care of something if you need to. Even just the kids come home and they need $2 for something at school. I suppose it's never $2 anymore. Maybe they want $10. Something I always did was I didn't just get $20 bills when my kids were young. I broke it down into tens, fives, and singles. So if they said I need $8 to go bowling, I could give them $8. If they needed $12 to go to the movies, I could give them $12 or whatever it was. Because otherwise you're peeling off 20s. You're never going to get any change back and your money is just going to slip through your fingers and be gone. So it's easier if you have smaller bills. You can overcome a few of those leaks in your budget. You also want to make sure that you're going over your budget and you're paying off debts. You need to make sure that you get out of debt as soon as possible, because debt is something that can be a catastrophe if something happens and then we can't pay the bill. We don't want to make this struggle worse by owing other people and having bills that we can't pay, because things happen. You can get sick, you can't go to work, the car breaks down, and then you have an emergency that you need money and you may not have it because you've overspent on your budget. So try to prepare for those emergencies with an emergency fund. Then as you're planning on buying your prepping supplies, don't go into debt over it. Buy a little at a time, and if you want a bigger item, save up for it. You don't have to buy the most expensive items to have good quality prepping gear. Get what you can, and then if you can afford it later, you can always add another one, replace it for something bigger and better. Next, think about rescue. What if you have weevils in your flour or your grains? Do you have a sifter that you could sift them out, because you can still use that food, but you need to be able to rescue that food if it's all that you have and it has become infested. We don't like the idea of doing that, but that's why everybody's grandma used to have a sifter, because weevils in grains are just a thing. The weevils are already in the grain kernels and they hatch out, which is another reason why we like to freeze some of those products before we put them away, so that we kill off anything that's in them. What if your brown sugar turns into a rock? Do you know how to rescue it? You can add a little slice of an apple, seal it back up. You can add a slice of bread, seal it up. And I even have a little clay disc that I moisten and keep with my brown sugar, and it keeps the moisture in it, because the enemy of brown sugar is air. If it dries out, it gets hard, but you can soften it again. The enemy of white sugar is moisture, so you need to keep it as dry as possible. So if you live in a humid environment, maybe you want to stick a saltine cracker in with your white sugar and shake it occasionally. And never use an oxygen absorber with sugar, because you'll turn it into a rock block. Learn how to start fires and light things like charcoal. If you don't have any way to cook in the house, maybe you want to cook out on your grill, lighting charcoal can be a challenge. So figure out how to do those things, research those, learn some new ways, and then try it out. It can be an adventure. Do you remember how to use your gear? Your solar panels and your wind-up things need to be used. Your cook stoves, you need to use them occasionally so that you know how to do it. Sometimes batteries have to be changed, and that is part of the effort that it takes to be a successful prepper, that you want to take care of the things that you have and how to use them. It's not enough to just buy gadgets and gizmos and put them away, because then in an emergency you're like, I don't know, how do I use this thing? And then you've created another emergency because you thought you were prepared when really you weren't. Next, recognize life changes. Family dynamics change. Did you have a new baby? Then you need to make sure that you have prepared for this new member of your family. Did one of your children grow up and go away? Then maybe you need to make sure that they are preparing for themselves and maybe their new family. Then it may change the supplies that you feel you need to have in your own home. Did anyone in your family start a new medication? Have you made a plan for how to make sure that you have a few extras in case there's an emergency and you can't get to the pharmacy? Make a plan for those types of new changes in your life. Did you get a new pet? Make sure that you have the food and supplies that they are going to require. Always make sure that you're storing additional water for your pets. They need to stay hydrated just like you do. And then most of all, have confidence that going forward, you are preparing baby steps, little steps, $1 at a time, 1 week at a time. Do something, and then you're going to be better able to face the challenges ahead. Every new situation that we think about, we plan for, and we try to problem solve, gives us more ideas, and it will help us in challenging situations to come up with more creative ideas on how we can get through the challenges in life. The world doesn't have to go to SHTF for there to be an emergency. It can just be something that happens to you and your family. If your driveway gets snowed in, you can't get to the store, you're going to be okay. If the power stops running, you're going to be okay. If the water stops running, you're going to be okay. If there's a job loss or an economic challenge, you'll have a little cash on hand, you'll have some food to keep going until things straighten out in your life. So that's why I'm a prepper. I want every day to be the best as possible. So the only way to ensure that is to plan to take care of myself and have the things that I need. And that's what I want for you as well. I hope you'll like my video, share it with someone else you think might find it useful, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.